Aloha, Kamaka Brown here on V93 FM, actually with the Sandwich Islands Network. I'm here with Annie Rivera from Annie Talks. What's up, Annie?
Aloha.
And we've got some very special guests here today on our program, and they are Brian and Rowena Vasquez, actually natives of Hawaii Island. They're from the Kona area, and they have been on board the Princess Line that had been quarantined for the coronavirus, and we're happy to have them on board. So aloha, Brian and Ro. How you doing? Good to see you.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Hi. Aloha.
You guys look like you've been on vacation. You're looking good.
Thank you.
When I'm not on vacation, I know I look good.
Ooh.
Hey, come on, you're getting him to talk more than he ever talks in any
Yay.
Spoken like a true performer. Well, thank you both. Mahalo to you both for being here. It's wonderful to have you here. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about who Brian and Rowena are, and tell us a little bit what you do on the Princess Line.
Okay, we're Brian and Rowena Vasquez. Kamaka, you're getting howly saying Vasquez.
Oh, sorry.
Right, we are, we're contracted to Princess. We are known as Hawaiian Ambassadors because when they do any of their cruises, whether it be to Hawaii or South Pacific, Tahiti, Fiji, Samoa, any of those places, we're the ambassadors that are on the ship because we represent Polynesia. And so we have a great job. We just love it. We love what we do.
That's very nice.
So, yeah. So in terms, did you want to know more about specifically what we do, or?
Yeah, I mean, what do you each do on the Princess Line or Princess? And what you do specifically, yes.
Are you? Oh, I try to give you a chance.
Ladies first.
We actually do a lot of things, you know. One of the things I enjoy most is I enjoy giving the lectures. We do. I'll talk about where we're going to, what can be seen, and not just what can be seen, but some history behind it, so they really understand where they're going. We talk story a lot. I do a lot of lectures on medicinal foods, Hawaiian culture, all different types of stuff. And then we teach ukulele. Brian probably has one of the largest ukulele classes that we ever see. I mean, those classes, we have 75 to sometimes 100 people in a class.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a hula class. And then we do crafts. We do some Polynesian-based crafts. And then towards the evening, usually we will do a couple of sets, a couple music sets where we'll do some uke and hula. Sometimes we don't do hula. Sometimes Brian will go off on a tangent and play non-Hawaiian music. But yeah, so we really enjoy what we do. I mean, it's wonderful.
And then you do perform together, correct? So
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I know that Brian is a ukulele player as well as he sings. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you dance hula.
Yeah.
alone.
He doesn't let me sing. I don't let him dance the hula either.
Okay. Fair trade. Touche.
They have defined their boundaries, which
Yes.
which makes it really good. I years ago when I first met Brian and Rowena through a gentleman who has since passed, Charlie Kiaha, and Charlie actually introduced me to you guys many years ago. And when I heard Brian play, I said, "This guy is the Hawaiian Santana. This guy can shred. He's amazing." And if you ever listen to any of his recordings, you got 2 CDs out, Brian.
Yeah.
You guys have 2, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There should be 3.
All right. That's good. Well, that's good. So,
He knows.
Like I said, I play ping pong.
so you've been doing this for 8 years aboard the Princess Line.
Yes.
And apparently you guys enjoy it. 8 years is a good stretch, and we're very, very, very proud of your success. And apparently Princess Cruise loves you guys to keep you on board. and you know, to keep you playing there as well. So just for our listeners, if you just happen to join us, we're talking to Brian and Rowena Vasquez from Kailua-Kona. They're on board they were on board the Princess line, and are now in Miramar Marine Base in San Diego. They're under quarantine, and you've been there for how long?
We've been here 2 days now.
No,
3 days.
4 days.
No.
4 days?
Was that Tuesday?
Well, our 48 hours just ended last night.
Oh yeah.
So I can count.
What else? That's why you do all the talking.
Could you give us a little sense of how long you've been quarantined, and then can you also share with us just what was going through your mind, and when you found out, and you know, what did they say to you, and what initially came to your mind? What were your thoughts then?
Well, you know, since we're contracted through Princess, we probably found it out, possibly. We had a sense about what was going on before the guests were alerted. So just a little background. The cruise before us was a cruise to Mexico. And a gentleman that was on that Mexican cruise, he got home, he went home, and apparently he had the coronavirus. They don't know where he picked it up or what happened. Well, he passed after he had gone home. So when the cruise line, when Princess was alerted to that, then Princess immediately alerted CDC, and CDC began setting down rules of what was going on. So a helicopter came out with test kits. They dropped the test kits to the ship, and the people who had been on the Mexican cruise that stayed on for the Hawaii cruise, they were slated to be tested along with anyone else who was sick on the ship.
Showing symptoms.
Or showing any symptoms. And that's when the news took over. The news got hold of that, of course. And out of the 44 that were tested, 22 tested positive, 19 were crew members, and the others were guests. So there was a waiting period of about 48 hours before the test results came back. So needless to say, at that point, everything on the ship carried on as normal, but of course you could feel the tension.
Sure.
And then when we did get the test back and it was announced, it was like the whole ship went silent. It went totally silent. And I guess about half an hour later, I was scheduled to do an event down in one of the common areas. And it's an event we usually have a lot of fun with. I have a lot of fun with it. It's actually that one, I call it Tie One On, because I teach them how to take a lava or pareo and teach them how to tie it in about a dozen different ways. And usually we have a lot of fun with that. But the first 20 minutes, half an hour, I felt like I was speaking to an audience of...
Was just dead.
It was just dead. Everybody was like staring at me with blank stares.
Yeah.
Everybody's minds was preoccupied.
And then finally, after about half an hour, I was starting to get them more and more involved. And then we could feel the air lighten up to be able to move forward. So it was really tough. And then the following day, CDC came down with an order that everyone needed to be quartered or stay in their rooms. So from that point forward, all the guests, it was mandatory that they stayed in their rooms. And so it was quite a logistics challenge to be able to take and feed 2,500 people by room service.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was an unbelievable undertaking. And I will tell you, the crew and the staff did just a wonderful job.
Yeah, I mean, they worked double time. You know, even though the people weren't walking around, these guys worked even harder, you know, trying to get the food out to them and keep them happy. And the activities crew, what do you call them?
The production crew.
Production crew, they did an awesome job taking crafts out to the people and stuff like that.
I mean, I think a lot of the things that the guests at that point didn't understand was, you know, Princess is set up like a very finely oiled machine. Each cruise, there's a specific protocol of how, how things are done, how everybody fits in, what their role is. And so from doing that particular schedule for cruise after cruise, and then within 24 hours have to change that, and then all of a sudden it became a thing of, all right, you guys are in the photo department to take pictures. You guys have to go down, you have to work sanitation. You guys who work the stores and the boutiques, you guys have to go down and do food service. So here, people are being moved around to do jobs that they're not trained for, to accommodate all these people in their rooms, and to be able to deliver 3 meals a day was pretty incredible. And they got, the towels, linens, everything. So it was quite taking.
Wow.
So, when did the first notice come to you folks? So, not exactly the date, or what month was this? Was this in February?
No, it was just, what's today? Today's the 13th. So
14th.
14th. So it would have been the first week in March.
Oh, is that right? Okay. All right.
Sailed on the 27th.
Yeah.
So 27, 28, 29, 30.
We did
31.
the islands.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were supposed to go to Mexico.
So probably about March the 5th, 4th or 5th.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Wow. All right. So, it no doubt is a huge, lots of kudos to the production folks, the staff, all the folks that work on board.
the captain especially.
Captain John, wonderful. Wonderful.
Amazing. That's great. That's great to hear, on that. So just switching gears just a little bit, we are here on the other side, if you will, and we see tons of things coming from the media, right? We see it on social media. We see it on television. We hear it on the radio. We see stuff on Twitter and Instagram, all of this. And so much of it is a downer. So much of it is driven by the unknown, driven by fear. And yet you folks are in the middle of this. You're in quarantine, but yet you seem to have this positive feeling, and we get this positive vibe from you that this too shall pass, and it's just a matter of time before all of this will resolve itself. How is it that you're able to keep that positive feeling about it?
We're Hawaiian. No.
Says it all.
That's the best answer yet.
I got a message from my brother. He asked how he was doing and stuff. My brother Darren Vasquez. He's told me, you really should take this a lot more seriously, because he asked me something and I gave him, a smart ass answer. And I said, he said, you really should be taking this more seriously. And I'm like, oh, hell no. When it comes to our health, I'll take it seriously.
Yeah.
But, people think it's the end of the world. When, it's not. It's not. It's like when you eat too much pork and beans.
I think it's the end of the world.
The smell go away.
That's why I think it's the end of the world. And he loves his chili. It's chili and rice, right?
Brian, you went there, Brian. You went there. But Rowena, earlier you were talking about it has a lot to do of where we come from, who we are, our culture, as how you view this situation, huh?
Yes, I do. It's a thing that I call it native knowledge. And, one of the things I always work towards, and, hopefully other people will work to, choosing to remain calm on the inside in spite of everything that's going on around us. We can't control the things around us, but we can control who we are inside and what our output is. And that's, the native knowledge. We're raised with that. In spite of all this stuff going around, it was like, okay, just chill for just a second. Keep a cool head, right? Cool head, right? Keep a cool head, chill for a second. And sometimes just chilling for those couple seconds, taking a couple deep breaths, the ha, because ha is everything, right? It's our life, breath of life. And then all of a sudden, the answers come. We know exactly what to do. And we know how to proceed, because that immediate hysteria can destroy so much, And then the other thing I said to someone, a friend of ours who was starting to get hysterical, I said, if you're worried about getting the virus, I will tell you, the more upset and worried you are, the more you open yourself up for disease, because worrying, being upset does nothing but tear down the immune system, right? And if your immune system is down, what happens?
Yeah.
So for our health, it's just better to stay calm. It's better to look at it as, all right, I'll do what I can do. And if I can't do anything, I'm not going to worry about it. Let's play a game of cards or get out the ukulele or whatever it is, find something else to do.
And it's certainly, an indication that, you do take it very seriously. It is a very serious situation. Your health, your life, your livelihood is at stake in terms of making it through this. And what I'm getting from the both of you is that you understand that. And I love what you said a little earlier, Brian. You said
about the poking beans.
About the just a little bit after that, Brian. About understanding things that are in your control and that are out of your control, and focusing on that, things that are in your control, how you respond to what's happening around you. You have control of that. And by succumbing to that negativity, it's actually counterproductive, right? And it can have a negative effect. Yeah.
We spread aloha, not viruses.
That's right.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
We can call it the Aloha virus.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
We want that.
And it can be contagious too.
Yes. And certainly on board, when you are sharing the Aloha, when you're sharing just the joy of music and the joy of learning about our culture, it takes people's minds away from their perceived misery, and they end up enjoying themselves, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. In fact, after Sunday, we're gonna proceed in our classes. We're gonna start ukulele class again.
Oh yeah.
Here in quarantine, and hula class, and then
beautiful.
To us, hey, we still on a cruise. We cruising.
Hey, I'm not cooking. Somebody else is bringing in the food.
Yeah. I love how that you can stay positive, in light of all of this. And you've heard and you've seen, right, the mayhem and the chaos that's happening on this side. It is crazy. I just came from the store trying to buy just one package of toilet paper. I mean, I'm legit out. I'm down to like 4. So I just need one pack, can I just have one? Yeah.
You could get a bidet from Amazon. They'll probably deliver.
And the thing about water, right? I was just saying, we have a Brita filter. We got a container in our fridge and we just filter the water through there. It's beautiful water. I don't really have to have a whole bunch of plastic bottles. We use the filter. Hello.
Yeah.
And you could probably get one of those sent to you too.
You could. Exactly.
I think it kind of helps you rethink too, right? I mean, minimalist and not so extravagant. I think like the Aloha, there's plenty of it to go around. So share it, don't hoard it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty. And, there are answers and there are ways to figure it out, figure out what you can do. I mean, just because you don't have today the same thing you had last week doesn't mean that you can't come to the same end. You can get there. It's just like the Brita filter. Okay, you don't have bottles of water. You figure out another way to do it.
Exactly.
There's always,
right.
Yeah.
It's still boil water.
Yes, exactly. Boil water, you know, and that's what I mean by you stop, you breathe, and the answer will come. You know, I keep telling everybody, maybe if we focus on the whole of life versus focusing on the fragments, then we can progress. Because when you focus on just the fragments, your fragment around you, what happens? That's where the self-centeredness comes from, the selfishness, all of those things.
For our friends that just joined us right now, we're talking to Brian and Rowena Vasquez. They are Kona natives, residents. They have been working on the Princess Lines for the last 8 years. They are on board the Princess ship that was quarantined, ended up outside of Oakland, at the port of Oakland, and they have since been taken to Miramar Marine Base in San Diego, which is where they are right now. And we're so happy to have them spend some time with us. And we laugh and we joke around, but it is a serious situation. So I guess my question to you would be, if any message you want to get out to the folks that are listening right now, you know, in a very succinct way, what would be that message to the folks that are watching right now?
You go ahead.
Man, a few words, yeah?
Except when he wants to talk. Well, you know, Kamaka, I think it's pretty much, you know, some of the things that we've been talking about, you know, up on the Mauna, all right? One of the things our kupuna taught us they brought back a phrase that I think a lot of people misunderstood. And that phrase was kapu aloha, right? On the Mauna, they were saying kapu aloha. And I think a lot of people misunderstood that, thinking that that meant kapu, no aloha. In other words, don't give aloha. And what our kupuna was really trying to teach us then was kapu, silence yourself for just a moment, let yourself calm down inside, be still before you act. And if you stop and just let yourself be calm, not even think, just stop, let yourself be calm, the answers will arise within you how to act. And then you won't be acting out of fear, frustration, those type of things, you know. And, you know, one of the things we said on the boat, but we can't say it here because it doesn't really apply, but we used to say on the boat to people that were scared, we used to say, well, what can we do? We're all on the same boat. We're all in the same boat. But I guess this time we say, we're all in the same world. You know, we're all in the same world. You know, you may be way up in Northern California, we're in Southern California, but we're all in the same boat. The people outside of quarantine, they're facing their own challenges, like those of us that are. And if we all stop, we just calm ourselves down for just a little bit and move forward with some forethought, some rational thought, then maybe we wouldn't have that mass hysteria that's going on outside and actually in some of the facilities. There are 4 separate facilities where people are being quarantined.
Yeah.
And then we can move forward. And if we move forward as a community as a whole, we'll be a lot more productive than if we all try to move forward as individuals.
Okay. Now, you were saying earlier, Rowena, about you became aware of the mass shootings in Las Vegas and how sad that was, and people on board were just really, really shocked by it, and it changed the whole mood of the ship, people reacting to that tragedy. And that was very, very, very sad. And part of that situation, that tragic situation, moved you to write a book called Random Acts of Aloha. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, you know, we've been on a ship for a while, and of course we've always talked about aloha. But really what hit me during that time, when that shooting took place in Las Vegas at the rock concert at, what hotel was that? You guys remember? At Mandalay Bay.
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
Mandalay Bay.
Mandalay.
Yes, Mandalay Bay. Well, we watched the ship in a matter of 10 minutes go from being a happy place to all of a sudden a solemn place. And the talk went from everybody enjoying themselves to becoming negative. And so what I did was all the stories that people were telling me previously about the wonderful aloha things that happened to them. At that point, I thought, let's put it in a book. Let's remind people that they've experienced aloha. Let's remind them that there's aloha out there, and not just in Hawaii, but all over the world. And there's one quote that I put in the book where a woman had said that since when I began that journey of writing that book, because I said, hey, send me your aloha stories, she herself had gone from somebody who looked for the negative to then turning her whole world around and just seeing all the positive. She was looking for aloha. Oh, there's an aloha moment. Oh, there's an aloha act. And how it changed her life by becoming positive. So I took stories from all different people. I helped them write the stories so that they were readable and understandable by other people. And I comprised them into a book. And that's the book. It's available on Amazon. But the other thing I did was I put in there a lot about what aloha really is, because we have this misconception, or most people just think it means bye. And aloha is so much more than that and so much deeper than that. And so if anything, if it helps people to remember that there are people with aloha out there in the world that will give aloha to you, to me, to all of us, and that we could all share more of our aloha, then maybe we've just got a much more wonderful place to live.
I love it. I love it. We will put the link, the Amazon link for the book, Random Acts of Aloha by Rowena Vasquez, and we'll make sure that that information gets out there so that our friends can enjoy your book, Random Acts of Aloha. This has been really fun. This is fun.
But we've missed you. We talk about you quite often,
My ears burn every now and then. I love Brian talking.
He's turning red now. Look.
And now, Annie, now that we know you, we can talk about you too.
Oh, yay. Hooray. Hooray. Please do.
But you know what? Let's do this again. Maybe,
Yes.
we'll talk offline about maybe setting this up again and sharing some of the more updates and things of that sort. I think it's a very unique perspective, right, Annie?
Yes.
They're our island people. They're our family. You guys are our ohana, and you're right in the middle of it. And hearing it from you, from your heart, and sharing it with us is huge to our community. It really
Absolutely.
is.
Yes.
Kamaka, can I ask you something?
Sure.
I know that Brian's going to get mad at me after this, but when we first started talking to you, you mentioned that, that maybe Brian should play a little ukulele for you.
I did.
Oh, very nice. Do that.
I wasn't going to let.
I'm going to catch heck when we're done, right?
No.
Next interview, we can do that then.
No.
No.
Okay, Brian, I want you to look at this. I don't know if where's my camera. Do you see it says, okay, hold it. Do you see it says uke right here? This is on my notes, my brother.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. It says uke right there, UKE.
He's giving me stink eye. You can't see it, but he's giving me stink eye.
One of the things I wanted to kind of reiterate to everybody also listening is that, we talked a little bit about fear and what fear looks like, but this is what fear doesn't look like, in that it's positive, it's upbeat, it's staying, one step ahead and still living life. And that's what you're doing. And I think that's what we need to take away from this as well.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I hope so.
No,
I hope so.
Brian is tuning up over there. Here we go.
Here? See? Oh, I'm going to catch heck. You know, right? But Annie, thank you for realizing that,
Yes.
I mean, we can only deal with what we have right now and today.
Yes.
We can't change the past because it's already happened.
Right.
All right? We can't change the future because we're not there yet. The only thing we can change is our present and how we choose to view, act, react, and express ourselves in the here and now. We can't change anything else. We can work towards those things, but that's the only thing we can do. And why be miserable when we can choose to be happy
Yeah.
in spite of everything. So that's what I choose. I choose to be happy.
That's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Well, Brian is tuning up right now.
Okay.
He's taking his sweet time.
All right.
So, okay, here he
I
is.
thought maybe you run out of film already.
I'm gonna let him take front and center.
Yeah, whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an in-studio concert from Miramar Marine Base, San Diego. Here is Mr. Brian Vasquez.
Yay! Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Please, honey.
Like me do.
Very, very beautiful.
Mahalo, mahalo.
I can keep my mouth shut when it's time.
She really wasn't.
I
Yes, I
loved it.
was.
Well, what a pleasure it's been to visit with you both. Thank you so much for having us. Come visit you in San Diego there via our video conferencing here. To the both of you, we love you very much,
Yes.
and we will be back in touch. Let's do this again. We'll have to keep track of you guys.
Yes.
And
You know where to find us.
yeah,
Yes. Keep us posted.
absolutely.
You know what? If somebody don't mind, they can send me some rice.
Oh,
And we have
And
some
get a
sausage.
sausage.
and Vienna sausage. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like the local stores to deliver.
Okay, maybe we might do that. Okay, anybody out there?
Special delivery.
No, I get some friends in San Diego. The brothers will deliver to the gate. You guys, man,
Yeah. Tell them,
right, Annie?
tell
We
them
get,
just throw
Yeah.
over the fence. Throw
Yeah.
over the fence.
Yeah.
we get brothers over there that Annie and I both know that they would give. All I gotta do is make a phone call, and it's yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Waiting,
They'll give their shirt off their back.
All right, you guys, we love you. Thank you so much. We'll talk
All
to you
right.
soon. And so for now, we'll just say ahui ho and aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha, brother.
Aloha.
Woo-hoo.